hold on. If we go here,
Well, this is a real two for one, or
yes.
maybe more, because David has such an interesting career and history.
Mhm.
And Out of the Box Theater does as well.
Yes. Anyway, so let's begin. Anyway, so with us tonight, I'm Joe White, and with us tonight are Todd Whitley, who's the executive director of the Masterwork Foundation, and our guest this evening is David Edwards from Out of the Box Theater. And normally, how we start these is we have a brief commercial about Masterwork from Todd. So hit it.
Yes, the Masterwork Music and Art Foundation has been around for over 60 years, supporting excellence in the arts in many ways. Today, the organization offers a Premier Award, which is a $10,000 grant to an artist or arts organization, and a number of lower level community arts grants. We also offer this series, A Life in the Arts, that celebrates people who have dedicated their lives to the arts in many different ways. And so tonight, we're very happy to have David Edwards with us.
Okay. And so what I'm here to ask questions and also just talk briefly. And so, David, you in many ways you've gotten to a place that I wish I had because I was a director back in the day, and unfortunately, the call of business and needing to, pay for a family and stuff.
And I completely understand that.
Yeah, well, particularly that whole. I remember one of my last professional gigs was at a dinner theater in Jackson, Mississippi, um, called Le Barn Rouge. And somehow I don't think you really can raise a family living, and the actors lived in the attic, and it was we did a good show, but on the other hand, yeah, it's exactly. So part of the whole reason behind the Life in the Arts series is how do you exactly do that?
Well,
Well,
I great deal of hard work, I would say, and but more than that, a lot of luck,
mm,
a lot of persistence, a lot of being at the right place at the right time. Now, I could go on a litany of the things that didn't go well for me, but I'm here because of all the things that did go well for me.
okay.
And I think that very early on, I was exposed to the theater and the arts, and I don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. And I think if you have that kind of fire in your belly, it's I don't want to make it sound negative, but it's almost a disease that you cannot eradicate.
I yes,
Uh, and what I tell a lot of young people when they're going out is if you can think of anything else you might rather do,
you
try
should go
that.
do it. Yeah.
Yes, because and if that doesn't discourage them, I say God bless you and go forward.
Mm.
That's what it was for me. My grandmother took me to see a Broadway show when I was 2.5. And
Ah,
I suppose that if you take a child to a Broadway show at 2.5, you get what you deserve. So, so
microbes in the theater air. But
exactly. So my family was, I was actually a very shy kid, but I had it in my head that I was going to do this, and
mm,
I sort of had to wait until someone turned my way and said, "How about you?" And there it was. I was a child actor. I started as a child actor, but my mother was anything but a typical stage mother because
right.
she had been a dancer and she was kind of shy too. And she said, it's really difficult and you got to be nervy in this business. And I
Mm,
wasn't. So are you sure that you want to do this? And, so that didn't scare me. And in another wonderful way, she was always there for me in my passion for it and my love of the theater. So
mm. So let's go into some of that history. So I mean, What show did you see at Two and a Half?
Well, it was The Sound of Music with Mary Martin,
Oh,
and
wow.
so it was very confusing to me. I used to see nuns in the street and think they were actresses, and
And to
of
some
course,
extent, sometimes they are,
well,
but
and sometimes they are,
aren't we all?
you know, so it was Mary Martin was my uh, goddess from 2.5 years old,
Mm,
I used to see her on television playing Peter Pan, and of course, live theater was unlike anything else to me. I wasn't like going
yeah.
to the movies or watching television. And I think one of the most wonderful things about it is that I was sitting in the front row center orchestra. So I almost felt like I was up there on the stage
You're
with
in it. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and so when you're that close and you can see the back of the conductor's head as he's conducting the orchestra. Of course, you don't see that anymore. We don't have orchestra pits with
Yeah.
big orchestras on Broadway anymore. So
Sigh.
yes,
Uh,
yeah,
but well, and in fact, all the legitimate theaters on Broadway used to have to employ five musicians, and
yeah,
they would sit around and play cards.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
but
There's a story that Hal Prince used to say that when he brought the revival of Candide to Broadway, that it was a big success out in Brooklyn,
mhm.
at the Chelsea Theater Center. When he brought it to the Broadway theater, and they had a nice healthy run and wonderful reviews. The exact amount of money that they were still in the red when the show closed was what they paid the musicians for not playing. So that was a big bone of contention for him.
Okay. Well, no, but Candide, but Candide, the musicians would actually have to work.
Yeah,
But
but they didn't employ as many as
well, no,
particular theater wanted them to employ.
that's a favorite production of mine also, because just because I had done some work as a technician for John Mauceri before then when he was up at Yale, and we had and I just loved having him come on the stage in the middle of the thing, and there's no orchestra, and he starts conducting, and there's music, and
Well,
but he's conducting no one.
I remember that production very fondly myself. I saw it
Yeah.
as an adolescent, and I was very lucky to years later work with a lot of those actors in
Mm,
various productions. In
yeah.
fact, the man who played one of the leads, Louis J. Stadlin,
Oh,
was the
yeah.
director of The Butter and Egg Man when I performed in it as an actor over 20 years ago, and it gave me the idea to revive it for Out of the Box this year.
Well, I
So
was going to say, besides that, I think uh, it's funny because Kaufman used to be the man of the theater in New York, and it's distressing how close to forgotten he is. And because it's not deserved. He
uh,
was just well, besides all of the Algonquin round table, but uh, the list of amazing plays. There's a little shorty, another little short one that I always wanted to direct, which is called The Still Alarm.
I don't know that one.
It is it's a it is a high 30s drawing room comedy. It's about 20 minutes long, and everybody is acting. It is all dressed formally, and they're all, talking as if they were have at a cocktail party, but they're in the middle of a hotel that's burning down. Oh, well, gee, I'm looking out the window. The fire is almost up to the second floor there. Perhaps we should do something. It's
Not
just,
your
it's
typical Kaufman, I would say.
exact.
Yeah.
No, it's a bizarre little play. But anyway, but he was a wonderful wit, and you could always count on him for marvelous lines. And he might let someone else, put the fabric of the play together. Uh, but you knew that what was being said was his,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
always wonderful.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, the Butter and Egg Man was one of the few, if not the only, that he wrote by himself
Hmm.
without a collaborator. So
Okay. But so anyway, I guess one question is you do, you've talked about acting in things and uh, producing and directing. So which one of those hats is the one that you like best?
well, it really depends on the project. I was an actor first and foremost, and I pride myself in thinking that I'm an actor's director because I know what actors go through, and it gives me great joy to know to discover what buttons to press with each actor, and they're different.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
to unlock their creativity and really to gain the trust of your actors, because once you do that, they will go further out on the diving board than they ever have
Yeah.
before. But that has to be established very early on. You have to be clear about what you want to say with the play and why we're here, and give them the safe place to fall
Yeah.
in rehearsal and make mistakes and try anything. And
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I mean that's what I love as an actor. So
Mm,
I'm not the kind of director that comes in and has the whole thing blocked in his head beforehand. I don't like to work that way, and it sometimes is difficult because I think on a short schedule sometimes you have to have a little bit of a leg up and
well, you better
understand.
have some structure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
whether I have 9 days or 9 weeks to put a play together, I always do a read through with the company first day, so everybody can get to know each other and I can see where each actor is coming from and
mm,
uh, how big a bite they're willing to take on the first day of rehearsals.
mm. Well, I was going to say one of my experiences it was directing opera, which is a little bit of a different beast, but not really. One when it's good, it's not a different beast at all. But
Agreed.
when but unfortunately, there are a lot of performers who, because they learned the role, it's like you play the tape. And oh
Yeah.
Lord,
Well,
I've always told I've told my actors I don't want to see the same thing every night.
I agree with that. With opera though too, I mean, I grew up in the opera world a little bit too, because from the age of 11, I was singing with New York City Opera in the children's
Ah,
chorus.
hmm
And I thought from my vast experience before that age that opera was something stuffy. And I was in the first act of Tosca, and my parents had tickets to see the opera that night. So I was through after the first act.
hmm
So the children's chorus director got me a spot in the viewing room to watch the rest of the opera. And to this day, I find the second act of Tosca some of the best musical theater drama that you will ever see.
Oh yeah,
I fell in
yeah.
love with it. And then, of course, I started to see videos of, there's that wonderful historic video of Maria Callas and Tito Gobi in Act Two of Tosca. And
Mm,
it's amazing. So opera can be great musical theater when it's done well. And I envy your chance to do it because I would love to direct an opera. But
yeah. I got to do two, and one of them was an early Verdi that no one has heard and probably no one will hear again because it does not have a great soprano. It has two good soprano roles, but not one great one. And so Joan Sutherland would never have stamped her feet and said that unless you do Un giorno di Regno, I will not sing in your
Giorno di
house.
Regno, I actually have heard of it, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but King for a Day. But no, at any rate, the my I cut my teeth on $1.75 standing room at the Met back when there was such a thing. And we always had the feeling that the manager of the Opera House would really have loved to get rid of us. Uh, and he did when they moved to Lincoln Center.
Oh, so you're talking the old Met. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well the brewery on 40th Street, but
Yeah.
it's so out of the box. So what is it? What's what's
Well,
what is it about?
I understand if you've not heard about it before. A little over a year ago, I had not heard of the company myself, and it
Okay.
all started because I had a friend and neighbor in the building who one night we were having some drinks and said, "Do you have any interest in directing a Noel Coward play called Fallen Angels? Do you know the play?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I
Hmm.
do." And I pretty much forgot about it for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden I started to talk to people, got emails, and I found out a little bit about this company, and they've been around going on 18 years now, and they have a very unique mission statement, and that is not only to do classic plays, but also to feature the work of artists over the age of 50.
Ah,
And this was initially fascinating to me because knowing the play Fallen Angels, I thought, what a wonderful idea, because it would adapt very well to using artists over a certain age. It is ostensibly about sex, about two women who are trying to regain the excitement in their marriages,
right.
and want to see an old flame that they have shared at times. And
Yes.
so for 1926, it was very risque. And of course, it was done probably with actors in their late 20s, early 30s, maybe early 40s,
Mm.
because they were sort of newlyweds. But I had just been reading about how an article in the New York Times talking about how sexually active people over a certain age are, and how interested they still are in that type of thing. And I said, well, this is ideal because we don't have to change a word of the play,
Right.
and we can go back to 1926 and make these people just slightly older, and see what light that shines on the mores of the 20s, and how does it reflect on our day and age. And I jumped in, and I met some very talented people, and we got some lovely reviews, and uh, strange as that may sound, the the board of the Out of the Box Theater invited me to come in as artistic director after the success of that show. So
Um, well, you met the right organization, met the right person,
there you
and
are.
that's wonderful. Uh, this is the perfect time to share something from there. Now, let me get this right. And we just went away, but there's,
Yeah.
and can I make that bigger? Maybe I can make it bigger. Did that make it bigger?
Yes, it did.
Good. I'm trying to, I just, because this photo display thing seems to want to put a black border around everything, which is fine but dull. Uh, anyway, while we're here, you shared some other images with us, and they're of other things that you're doing or have done recently. So let's share another one.
Well, that is the project that I just got done doing. I just came back a little over a week and a half ago from Sacramento, doing a beautiful production of Fiddler on the Roof,
Hmm.
and at Sacramento Music Circus, which is a huge theater that's been around for. It started as one of those tent theaters, decades and decades ago, and now it is a very well established part of the Sacramento theater community. They bring out Broadway A-listers, and they put these shows together in 2 weeks and run them only for 1 week. But the theater sold out every night. We had
Um,
two invited performances, and then 8 regular performances, and we had 2,500 people in the audience every night.
That's terrific. I'm also just looking at this since this, normally the visual effect of Fiddler is more sort of late medieval rustic, and this is a very that there's a different whole vibe to this photograph, which
Well,
I
part
kind
of
of
the reason is that you don't see any scenery behind you because it's a big theater in the round.
well
And they do have projections on screens all around the theater and wonderful scenic elements that come in from the roof and in the aisles, but you won't see any backdrops or
mm,
any physical scenery like that. Everything was moved by either projection or the actors come on with a chair or this and that. In that way, it was very minimal. But we had a cast of 45 people and amazing costumes, and it was really a breathtaking production. I was very proud to be a part of it. So this seems to be the year to do Fiddler. It's interesting because the Muni did it this year as well, and uh, it's such a breathtaking show, and it's as timely as ever right now. So
yes, and well, in fact, in here in my town of Ridgefield, Connecticut, we have a professional theater company called ACT, A Contemporary Theater,
yes, I know.
and they're doing Fiddler as next season. So yes, I think this is something that's speaking to people. So let's move on to the next picture. And again, I'm going to try to make it. There we go.
Well, this is if you talk about a life in the theater, we have on Broadway a tradition that used to be called the Gypsy Robe. It's now called the Legacy Robe, that was started around 1950 as a good luck wish to opening night of every Broadway musical. And what it is that the person in the cast with the most Broadway credits is honored by being given the legacy robe. And they do a ceremony around half hour before the show starts on opening night. Everybody in the cast is involved, and then the new recipient will take the robe and present it to the next person in the next opening. Now, in doing so, they also sew on some sort of a memento with a
Yes.
logo of the show or something that's autographed by everybody. They get more and more elaborate every year, and they fill up this robe. The initial robe was just someone's dressing gown with it. They tied a rose from Ethel Merman's gown on. And now it's become this very elaborate thing that is, of course, not the original robe, because there's a new one. When it gets filled up, there must be about 20 of them at least now.
Mm.
But I was a past recipient, so it's a great honor to be in that crowd. Many famous and successful people have been part of it, and it's a wonderful thing opening night to go and wish the new group luck, and we all get to applaud the people who are making their debut on Broadway, as well as the recipient who has more Broadway credits than anybody, and we do a little ceremony, and it's great fun. So this picture is opening night of the latest revival of Cabaret. I'm all the way over there in the green and beige jacket, and several of my friends there, and um, the newest recipient at that night is the gentleman wearing the robe right there. And so it's a wonderful group of Broadway veterans, and it's a lovely fraternity to be included with.
I hope that these are preserved somewhere,
They
those
are
as they're
actually,
retired.
yeah, I think one or two may be in the Museum of the City of New York in the theater
That
collection. I think Actors Equity holds on to most of them. They used to have them in glass cases in the lobby of the equity building, but I don't know where they all are now. But
Yeah, well, no, I'm part of an organization where we have an award every year for the oldest person in attendance. And it's a cane with a gold knob on it, and they get to hold it for about 2 minutes because we learned one year we let the person take it home. It was a great deal of difficulty getting it back. So we have one more picture. And
well,
then this is from Butter and
Butter
Eggman.
and Eggman. That's the latest production from Out of the Box, and those of you at Masterwork might very well recognize the gentleman in the center,
Yeah. Oh,
Bob. Deb
that
Taylor,
guy.
Tony Javits, yes.
Okay.
But we had the cast. There's 11 characters in the cast, and we
Hmm.
had a very small space. And this scene in the second act involves all 11 actors being on stage at one time. So it was quite the challenge to keep the keep the action brisk and keep the sight lines clear and still
Yes.
tell the story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The no, that's that can, well, particularly in things like theater and the round, that can be the fun part of directing. It's there is the part of directing that is traffic management.
It's the part that I least enjoy, but of course it's something that you must do, because if people can't see it and it doesn't make sense, you're not gonna
It ain't gonna,
tell the
it does,
story.
nothing else will help if that's not true.
That's right.
Anyway, so okay, well, so we're back. Uh, so what's next?
Oh, always a scary question. But right now
Right.
we're having a board meeting very soon to decide what our fall production. I have a few titles in mind, and uh, for our fall main stage production, and also a fundraiser probably around the holidays, that we may do a cabaret or a reading of something new, or something a little offbeat.
Mm.
Because as you know, with not-for-profit theaters, we the all of the income does not come from the ticket buyers, and we
Uh, you're
so
very fortunate if they're very fortunate if that's even a significant contribution.
well, and Out of the Box does wonderful things in terms of donating a lot of tickets to senior citizen groups.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have an audience who um, I shouldn't. This is a wonderful thing to say. I'm glad they're still with us, but they were around when George S. Kaufman was writing some of these plays, so they get it, and it's a wonderful thing. And we hope that they bring their grandchildren and their friends, so that we can pass on that legacy. That's part of what Out of the Box is all about.
Well, I was going to say I'm old enough to have actually seen a Cole Porter, uh, and and it wasn't his greatest work, but it was called Sail Away, and Elaine Stritch was wonderful. But
Well, that's Coward. That's
oh,
Coward.
Coward, I'm sorry. That's yeah.
That's all right. I don't mean to correct you,
No,
I
no, you're correct.
when you
And but
said Cole Porter, I was thinking, boy, no, he's not. He doesn't look
no,
old
no,
enough
I
to
don't, not
eat silk
quite.
stockings or
No, it'd be very late Cole Porter. Anyway, I so this has been a real joy to meet. You're a wonderful person to meet and converse with, and I, we masterwork, and I wish you the best of success, and we can't wait to see what you're going to do this fall.
well, we'll be getting it out there as soon as we
Wait,
decide.
so
Sure.
as soon as you figure out what it is.
Yes.
Anyway, Todd.
Yes, and I have a special plug tonight for anyone who happens to catch this video. Our 2024 Premier Awardee was Camille A. Brown, the choreographer, and um, that award went to a work that she was developing called I Am. It just so happens that I Am is premiering at Jacob's Pillow this very month, July 31st through August 4th. And if you are interested and in the area, please check out the tickets available at jacobspillow.org. I want to say you can find out more about Out of the Box Theater by going to Out of the Box Theater, and that's theater with an RE.com. You can find out more about David Edwards at davidedwardsonline.com. And of course, Masterwork is at masterworkarts.org. So please stay in touch. And thank you so much, David, for sharing your time with us and some of your story. And we're so thrilled for all you have ahead with Out of the Box Theater.
Can't
Well,
wait.
thank you for being such a loyal friend to Out of the Box, too. I know you've come to see all of our shows, so
Okay. So
and I'll be there at Jacob's Pillow this week, so very excited about that.